And I paid him. Yes, it was. He said he'd take it in payments, but I paid him all in full early before we even took the car. So, I don't see how it was true. It was 200 here, 400 here, 500 there. Yes, but he was paid in full before we even got the car completed.
And I see Ms. Langston has turned on her video. I'll put both of you under oath. You want to raise your right hand? Do you both swear from the testimony that you'll be providing will be truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Yes, I do.
Thank you, Ms. Langston. I'll hear from Ms. Langston first, and then I'll turn to you, Mr. Mendoza.
Okay. So I originally called.
Hang on just one second. Let me pull out the case file. So, Ms. Langston, I see that your claim is for $9,860 for engine failure negligent service. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, both parties are present in this case, and this is case number 39267. Go ahead, Ms. Langston, now.
So I originally contacted Edgar at Mecca Automotive to see if he could come out and do a diagnostic check on my car to see what was wrong with it and what needed to be repaired. He agreed that he would come to my house and, put the diagnostic check in the car to see what was wrong. The findings from that were that the oil pressure sensor was not working. So we agreed that he would come back and replace that part. Then once that part was completed, we determined that from there that the oil pump was not working. And we agreed that he would work on that to replace the oil pump. My car, originally the reason why I had called, because when the car started, the engine would immediately give a warning light that said it was the engine oil was hot. Not that the car was overheating, but the engine oil was hot and to immediately turn it off. So the car had to be towed to Mecca Automotive for him to work on it. He worked on replacing the oil pump, drain all the oil out, replace the new pump. And that from there was a couple other things that had to be done, like the oil had to be put in, some additional seals and stuff had to be replaced from taking it apart to repair. Once that was all done, this ended up being around June 10th. I was called and said the car was done and it was ready to go. The engine was on and it was running. When I got to Mecca Automotive, the engine was already on, the car was on, and Edgar said he needed to take a test drive. So he pulled out on the street, went hardly anywhere at all because he was back within 5 minutes, and you could hear that he had just gone down the street, like maybe a block or two. He came back and he said, okay, everything seems good to go. You can go ahead and take the car home. It's done. I had already paid him in advance for the replacement oil, the oil pump, and all of that work that needed to be done prior to him calling me and saying the car was ready to be picked up. So I left that day, got in the car, and I left, and I went approximately 500 feet down the road, and my car started making a very loud pinging and clacking noise. So I called back to my significant other, Aaron, who was there with Edgar, and said that the car was making noise. So they immediately told me to bring the car back, which I did. I turned around and I was back probably within less than 5 minutes. I was not able to go very fast, and the farther I was driving, the louder and louder the noise was getting. So when I pulled back to the automotive shop, they said that Edgar said it sounded like I blew a rod in my engine, and that he would have to look at it further from there. So within the next week, he called me back and said that it appears that the engine oil was not pumping through the engine, which caused it to continue to get overheated, the oil got too hot and the bearings melted and blew through the engine, causing the engine to no longer be eligible to drive. So we called several mechanics, I have to say, other mechanics, to find out what they thought was wrong with the car, why it would be making that noise. And they all agreed that what would make the engine start making that clicking and clacking noise was the oil was not going back through the engine like it regularly should. So we the
it would not read. They would say good to go.
There was a mechanic next door that had told us that he checked it with one of his tools that checks whether the oil is pumping through or not, and he said that the oil was not going through the engine, and the fact that the oil was not going through the engine is what caused the bearings to blow and the engine and have total engine failure. The mechanic next door also told us that he had told Edgar, don't let that car leave. It's not finished. It's not ready to go and not to be driven on the road. So I feel that the work that Edgar did say that he completed was to replace the oil pump. He did, but it was negligent work because the oil pump was still not sending oil through the engine. When I asked Edgar what he recommended or what he would be willing to do to fix it, he said nothing. There's nothing more that I can do, nor will I do on this car. And that I am not of any fault. It's all your fault for driving the car down the road, and the rods blowing and the bearings blowing through the engine was my fault for driving the car. So at that point, there was obviously going to be no agreement. Edgar was not willing to help nor pay pay for anything that he'd already done. That was negligent work. And so that's why we filed the small claims. Now, when we were in the mediation room, Edgar mentioned that it was just people trying to rip him off for work done. Well, I had paid him in advance before I was even told the car was done and ready to go.
Langston, you have said that you paid him in advance a couple of times. What was that advance was for the repair, and how much was that?
That was for the replacement of the oil pump, the oil pressure extender, timing fork, cover, brake. The total was 2,000. Sorry, the invoice is really hard to read. The total invoice was for $2,700, and I had paid him in advance. The reason why the claims is for higher than that is because now my engine is not usable. It needs to either be replaced or rebuilt. So I have an estimate for the cost to rebuild the engine, and that's where the amount of the claims came from.
Okay, and your claim is asking for $9,860, and your paid in advance was $2,700 for repairs. Is this $9,860 based on your value of the car? Is that what you're claiming?
No, it's based on the estimate I have for the rebuilding of the engine. The rebuilding of the engine sorry for my dogs. The rebuilding of the engine is $10,162. We owed my significant other, Aaron, owed Edgar for some other work done on another car, which we just subtracted from the estimate and figured that, we would claim that amount. It's a little less than the engine rebuild.
And then you refer to a mechanic who told you. Who is that mechanic that you're referring to? And do we have any evidence that you have provided in terms of his inspection?
Submit whatever you.
I'm not talking to someone else other than you, Ms. Langston.
Okay.
The other person is not under oath.
Okay, the mechanic name is Robert. He works at radioactive fabrication, and it is a building adjacent to Mecca Automotive, where Edgar Mendoza works.
Thank you.
He
Do you have
specializes.
anything else to add?
He specializes in working on LS and LT engines, which is what one in my Camaro. And I feel that he was there and was also helping with the replacing of the pump. And, you know, he has information that seems valid. I did call other mechanics as well as Chevrolet, and they all said the same thing, that the oil pump not going through the engine is what would have caused the bearings to be shot through the engine.
Is that it?
That's it, Your Honor.
Go ahead, Mr. Mendoza.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just want to say, Mr. Kiska and his wife contact me around on the latest of June to check on their car after
June of this year?
this year, yeah.
Okay.
After I done another repairs on one of the other vehicles for Mr. Kiska, his spouse. And well, I checked the car over his location, and I know that what she stated, the car showing all the signs about oil pressure. There were like a Christmas tree with all the warning signs lighting up. They said somebody else has been working on the vehicle, and they mess up with the electronics and some stuff of the computer. Still, the car was able to crank it, but I hear there was something going on at the very beginning. So I just said, well, might need to take the car to the shop because over your place, there's nothing I can do about it. I'm not going to drive it because sounds like there is problems. The warning sign is telling low oil pressure, so stop driving at the very beginning. So they towed the vehicle over my shop, and all down over there, still was no idea exactly what was going on. The first thing I did is drain the oil in front of Mr. Kiska. He was there, and the oil came out with metal shavings. That was the first sign. He saw the oil, and he said, no, it's looking good. I think he's expecting to see big chunks of metal or something like that. We are talking about metal shavings. It's just, you can tell the metal blended with the oil. And he said, no, it's looking good. Go ahead. Let's do the oil pump replacement. After we've been talking about the sended unit, which I did over their place before they towed the vehicle. That didn't settle down the problem. That's the reason they agreed to take it down over my shop. So that was the first sign. It was my mistake to make Mr. Kiska sign any, like a waiver or something that telling me or excluding me about there was something wrong prior my repair. They also state the car has been driving for somebody else and got overheated, what she said, and they took it for a joyride or something. So at that point, the car was already with internal failures. We agreed to do the oil pump because that was the only thing telling, on the warning signs. So, okay, well, you want an oil pump replacement? That's what you got. That's what I did. I get a new pump for him, install it. Unfortunately, in order to do this, you have to do pretty much the whole surgery. I have to spend 5 hours to access to this thing. After I access to this thing, I got a new pump, installed it and everything, got primed with all the procedures, sealed the timing cover of the engine. I didn't open the whole engine, just the timing cover, and put everything back together, the water pump and the rest of the accessories. I cranked it up. We cranked it up the car. He was there, and the car was running really rough. That's the reason they called the mechanic next door, who was specialized on these kind of vehicles. They did another repair on the intake manifold of the car because the car was running low RPMs since who knows. So the mechanic did this modification and make the car running properly again with the proper RPMs. And that was the part of my neighbor next door. No? There's two shops, mine, regular shop, and the specialized racing shop next door. That's the only thing he did. He didn't put his hands more in. He checked the car, and the car appears fine, but it wasn't because all the signs are still there. The warning signs, all the lights in there. So at the time we crank it out the car, immediately, as soon begins to run normal, begins to make clacking noises. Mr. Kiska get into the car and step on the gas pedal and rev it up the car, all full throttle. And he also took a video and sent it to his wife. I was laughing, blah, blah, blah. He's ready. And I said, well, he's ready. He has been paid. He paid me on payments. He never paid me on advance the 1,700. He just gave me 200, 400 till I complete the repair. So when I delivered the car to them, they were there, but the car has the problems still. Was cranking, was running, but still I hear the noises immediately. So as soon she get into the car and drove out of my shop, he rubbing tires and everything. He went out the road. Not even 5 minutes later, we received a phone call to his husband, and she stayed like, oh, the engine is making tapping noise, blah, blah, blah. And I told her, well, bring it back to see now what else. And they brought back, and she drove back to my shop. The car, of course, they've been doing more louder noises. So to get this, this is the old pump. To get to this point, to get scratched and overheated, it's even blue with groups inside. You can tell has been friction and overheated. When I got to this point, I have to have it outside. I opened and I realized all this. But that was obvious to me from the very beginning. When I drained the oil, there were problems prior I put my hands into the car. So they just asked me to do the oil pump replacement. That's what they got, oil pump replacement. I didn't rebuild the engine. I didn't open the rest of the engine. They have electrical issues. And that's how it turns. I tried to explain them, because whoever works in the car before, they mess up with this thing. This doesn't get shot in 5 minutes. This takes some time. The car was, I run a Carfax, I have it here. And the last service, it happened on Stonewater Automotive. I have it here when the car was 528,000 miles. When they show up over my shop, the vehicle had 67,000 miles on it. So we are talking about almost 10,000 miles from the last service till they show up to my shop to get it repaired. All this time, the car has been parking over their house for the last 7 months, probably, or 6 months, something like that, because they were really, with mold and stuff, spider webs and everything. But they knew already they have a problem. So they just been looking to find somebody like me, trying to help them out. And now this is where I am. I've been doing this for 25 years in Thurston County area. I think I've been here 2 times in all these several years. And unfortunately, they don't understand what happened with their vehicle. Somebody else messed up with this vehicle, and now here we are. That's the only things I can say. Well, I have the pump. I can prove you this pump belongs to this specific car. I have a bunch of pictures here.
It belongs to Ms. Langston's car?
Yes, that's the old pump from her.
Old pump.
The old pump. I put a brand new. It's still on the car, of course.
And that mileage proof, did you provide to Ms. Langston or Mr. Kiska before today?
Excuse me,
I'll turn to you, Ms. Langston, in just a second. I'll give you the last word. Just 1 second.
okay, thank you.
Are you anything else to add, Mr. Mendoza?
Well, I have some documents you can review and verify what I'm talking about. I have
And you have not provided those documents to court files before today?
No.
Okay. Have you given the copy to Ms. Langston or Mr. Liska before today?
No.
Okay. And what would they refer to before I look at them? What are they about?
I'm sorry?
So one of those that you were referring to was a service that they did when they had a mileage of certain number of 5,000 something,
Mhm.
and then next one for after 10,000 miles. What is the other exhibit or other evidence you're referring to?
Another evidence I refer, well, I have just, it says there were like some accidents and other services, but nothing like,
And what is the make and model of this car?
It's a 2011 Chevy Camaro. It's a 14 years old car, which is what they are asking for that car. That's not the cost of that car. It doesn't cost 10,000, and it's not even a supercharged. It's not even. I mean, it's the luxury car. It's an SS normal engine. That's it. Nothing as luxury.
Thank you. So, Ms. Langston, I see Mr. Kiska with you. I have not put him under oath. I'll give you the last word. If he wants to testify, I have to put him under oath.
Yes, please.
Yes, let's put him
You
under
want to
oath.
raise your right hand, sir?
Yes, sir.
Do you swear from the testimony that you'll be providing will be truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, sir.
Okay, go ahead. What do you have to add?
Okay, first off, I was there when we drained the oil. I ran my hands through it, and there was no metal sharding of any sorts, because I would have not gone forward with the process knowing if I had seen metal shards that the engine was already past recovery. Okay, I knew it was, and he showed me the original pump, and he said he don't know why it quit working, and opened it up and just shrugged his shoulders. And neighbor next door, Robert of Radioactive Fabrication, says he hooked his special tool up to it and said that the engine block was, or his thing was reading 0 on the oil pressure, and it was not pumping oil through the engine. It should not be let go. I had Esker twice before we let that car go. Is it safe to drive? And he said yes. You know, I had him come out to the house, diagnosed it first. I took a lot of preparations, and I paid him. Yes, it was. He said he'd take it payments, but I paid him all in full early before we even took the car. So, you know, I don't see how it was true. It was 200 here, 400 here, 500 there. Yes, but he was paid in full before we even got the car completed. And like I said, I took several preparations, making sure that engine was going to be fine before I shelled out $2,000 to have it repaired.
Oil pump replaced.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Thank you. Ms. Langston, you have the last word. Go ahead.
I cannot remember what I was going to point out at this point. It's something, that the oil pump that Edgar is saying is from my car. I don't, how do I know that that is truly from my car? I did go back to Mecca Automotive after the car had, after this whole incident to try to come up with some kind of agreement. And we discussed what could be done later. And we kind of walked around the corner of the shop, and he picked up an oil pump and said, well, this oil pump is not from your car. I do not know where yours is at the moment, but look in here. This is the area which I showed Aaron that there had been some metal shards in there. So he specifically told me the pump he was holding and showing me at that point was not from my car. However, if I had been told that there was metal in the engine oil once it was drained, or there was metal shavings all over the oil pump, I would have not continued with the work. The whole process of this was done with the intent knowing that I am looking to find out if my engine could be fixed or not. Obviously, it does, you might have to do one thing and then another thing comes up or another thing comes up. So it is a special engine on the car. It is an LS99 manual transmission. It's the car itself, a 2011. If you look online, because I actually did think about just selling it, just not working on it anymore. That car, every single one of the 2011 manual transmission 6-speed is still selling currently for $22,000. The year before or the year after are selling for maybe 8 or 9.
11 was a special
So the
year.
2011 year is a very special year. It's still, people are still wanting that engine, that car. And for him to say that the cost of the engine replacement isn't even worth the 14-year-old car. Maybe the car is 14 years
Thank you, Ms.
old.
Langston. I think we are going in a wrong direction. I can understand that certain cars can have different historical value. I'm not putting much weight on what Mr. Mendoza said regarding the age of your car and what his estimate might be about the value. Here, what
Okay.
I am prepared to rule on your matter, unless you have anything else to say within the next 1 minute or so.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, so in this case, you have filed a notice and you're claiming $9,860. And then you testify that you paid him in advance to change that oil pump or certain number of services that you asked Mr. Mendoza to perform. And your testimony was that you paid him $2,700 in advance. I've heard your testimony. I have not seen any evidence in terms of any exhibits other than your testimony that you felt that because what Mr. Mendoza, how he performed on the car is not to your satisfaction. I have also heard testimony by Mr. Mendoza that he replaced the oil pump and then you paid him in certain payments. Now, what I have here is to make a finding that there is a claim of negligence which requires that requires the proof by preponderance of the evidence that the other party failed to exercise reasonable care that a prudent person would do. He is a mechanic, so he's expected to perform the duties of a mechanic that an objectively person looking at that situation objectively will realize. So I have to show, first of all, Mr. Mendoza had a duty of care. Yes, he did. He had a duty of care to perform the service that a objectively reasonable person would expect. Did he breach that duty? He performed that duty. And I don't find that he breached that duty. He did what he was expected to and in what you asked and what an objectively reasonable person would expect. Now, that you're saying that your car subsequently has malfunctioned, I have to see evidence that that was caused by his malfunction or not or breach of his duty. If he had breached his duty, and then find what damages to afford. At this point, I am not convinced that you have met the burden by preponderance of the evidence to show, based on your testimony, that Mr. Mendoza has breached his duty of care, and his breach of that duty caused the malfunction of the car. There might be more evidence, but I heard from you that you took it to a mechanic other than Mr. Mendoza, who agreed with you that there is some issue, but I have not seen any evidence to prove that. So therefore, I'm going to dismiss this small claims. We are completed with your case, Ms. Langston and Mr. Mendoza. I have dismissed this petition, this claim.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Just so you know, Your Honor,